Sue Mi Terry is now a senior research scholar at the Columbia University Weatherhead East Asian Institute. She was a career intelligence officer. She served at the National Intelligence Council and in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. She was the Director for Korea, Japan, and Oceanic Affairs at the National Security Council. For years, she was also a senior analyst on Korean issues at the CIA and a senior linguist at the CIA. Dr. Terry joins us tonight for the interview because she is exactly the person I want to talk to. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on again.
I really appreciate your time. Let me ask you about a concern that I raised at the top of the show tonight that I am totally willing and able to hear you tell me I'm completely off base about.
Okay.
I just want to tell you my concern. I feel like we've seen this radical change in behavior from our own president over the last 72 hours that appears to be based on this Washington Post report that came out on Tuesday, which cited a Defense Intelligence Agency finding, which we have not seen, but it was reported by the Post, which said that the DIA believes that North Korea can miniaturize a nuclear weapon. DIA is the only intelligence agency who has been cited as having that finding. They also said that 4 years ago, when apparently it wasn't true. Other intelligence agencies aren't coming out and saying, yes, we have also studied this, and this is our finding, too. Other countries aren't coming out and saying, that's our finding, too. I'm troubled that this is a huge change in American policy based on something that seems very thin and might not be true.
Well, I'm not sure if there's a huge change in policy, but the fact that they can miniaturize nuclear weapon, it's been out there as sort of something that they can do, North Koreans can do, and we have...
Or that they're aiming at, or that they have already done?
Well, we don't know. I mean, I have not seen the classified reporting, but they could, and if not now, they will get there very soon. Okay. And they probably on a short range or medium range, I doubt right now that they can put it on intercontinental ballistic missile. So that needs to be clear. But the concern is correct in that they will get there, if not now, fairly soon.
And when you say they could put it on a short-range or medium-range missile, I don't know these things, but my understanding of that is that there's one thing to get the nuclear weapon down to a specific size, but you have to make it incredibly durable to make it last all the way to impact on an intercontinental ballistic missile. That goes into the upper atmosphere, has to survive re-entry and all that stuff. And so that's just that's an order of magnitude different. But right now, is it widely believed that they could put it on a short or medium range? Does it seem conceivable, given the intelligence?
It's conceivable, short range, medium range.
And that means that South Korea and Japan
are already under nuclear threat.
Under existing, as far as we guess, existing nuclear threat from North Korea.
Yes.
And so maybe there's a new intelligence finding in the United States that they've further miniaturized it, or maybe somehow hardened this device, that they could start linking up their ICBM capacity and their nuclear capacity. But that's a marginal increase in their abilities.
That's correct. That's why I don't understand all the hysteria, because the fact is they probably already have nuclear weapons that can target South Korea and Japan.
Okay. When you see the president and the Secretary of State and White House advisors and the Secretary of Defense, and all these different people saying very different things in terms of what they expect from North Korean behavior, is that actually, it's sort of comedic. Is it dangerous?
Very dangerous, because I think just speaks to incoherence and policy dysfunction that's coming out of the Trump administration. Because, crisis like this, you need to send a very clear, unified message. And all these competing, conflicting, and frankly confusing messages is only going to make the crisis worse.
Why? Why does it make it worse?
Because it's going to lead to miscalculation and misunderstanding by the North Korean leader. So imagine if Kim Jong-un thinks there's going to be an attack coming his way when there isn't. That's going to lead him to maybe preemptively attack us. So I just think this really heightens the risk for a conflict, or we're going to blunder into a conflict or war that nobody wants.
How well do they understand American politics and American personal?
They don't understand. We can barely understand what's going on. How can North Koreans understand what's going on? And by the way, Senator Graham recently said something about, how Mr. Trump told him that maybe if the thousands are going to die, thousands are going to die over there and not over here. This is deeply troubling, because it's what is it saying? Is South Korean lives, are South Korean lives and Japanese lives expendable?
Right, some
and
of our greatest allies.
By the way, we do have 300,000 Americans living in South Korea and Japan.
Sue Mi Terry, Dr. Terry, thank you so much for being here. I feel like I ask you to come in always on very, very bad days. But thank you for helping us understand. I really appreciate it. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.